Hi, I'm David Cross, and I'm running to become your next chairman of the Georgia Republican Party. One of President Trump's 3 mandates is to rebuild the party. He wouldn't be telling us this if he didn't see the same issues that I see with the lack of party engagement, wasteful spending, and the lack of trust. I have 5 major goals that I think we need to implement in order to restore the party, starting with making the party a voice for the people, reinvigorating member engagement and growth, using that growth to elect Republicans, but none of that happens without a plan for transparency and rebuilding the infrastructure in order to support our counties. When we talk about the party being a voice for the people, that means that leadership needs to be accessible to hear from the members. We need an online suggestion box with true two-way communication. We need face-to-face membership events where you can have direct conversations with leadership, and we need to have weekly outreach with each one of the executive team members so that you can know what's really going on inside the party. No more secrets. On membership engagement and growth, it starts with communication. We need true two-way communication with our members and our counties to make sure that we are in alignment from top to bottom. We need a bold legislative agenda that's worked on proactively throughout the year instead of throwing it out at the last minute. And that includes eliminating the Dominion voting machines and moving to paper ballots in alignment with President Trump. We keep talking about engaging young people, so I'm going to do something about it and put together a Young Republican Scholarship Program so young Republicans can attend our conventions and events. We need to fortify the Georgia GOP by bringing Black, Hispanic, Asian, young Republicans, all Republicans to the table and giving them the same tools that we give to our counties to help them grow. We can fund a lot of things with a $20 1% grassroots club. That means if we can get 1% of all Republicans statewide to donate $10 to $20 per month, totally doable, that could generate over $300,000 per month or $3.6 million annually. That's more than the GOP has ever brought in organically in a single year. But none of this is going to happen without transparency. That's why we've got to doge the Georgia GOP. We have to root out waste and maximize the efficiency of every single dollar. We need to work with an annual budget and provide quarterly financial reports to demonstrate accountability and trust to all Republicans. If we are successful, then we will be able to elect Republicans and bring back a supermajority. But it's only going to happen if we can make a clone of Trump Force 47. We're going to call it Georgia Force 26. We're going to couple that with Project Green Dot to identify independent voters that we're going to recruit to the Republican Party by sharing our vision that we believe that men are men and women are women. Our children don't belong to the state for indoctrination, and God is part of our platform. The Democrats have thrown God out the window. They've abandoned him. We will invite these people to our events and get to know them and break bread with them. To do all of this, we need to break all of the fundraising records. And that's going to happen when we demonstrate truth, trust, and transparency. We also need a constitutional sheriff's initiative because whether you know it or not, there are dozens of counties in Georgia where Donald Trump won the popular vote, but a Democratic sheriff is still in charge. We also need to engage our religious affiliations out there too. Our faithful are not voting as much as they should. We have to reach out directly to our churches. We're also going to partner with civic organizations and expanding partnerships with folks like the Kiwanis Club and the Rotary Clubs and other like-minded organizations that share our conservative values. And lastly, but certainly not at the bottom of the list, there's the corporate structure and infrastructure. We need a proper document filing under Title 21 of Georgia election law. We need a county technology toolbox so that our county chairs have the technology to help them manage their members so they can focus on what they do best, relationships. We need mentoring and tools for our county chairs so that they can do an amazing job leveraging the skills of their members to build a superior organization. We need to reignite the 5-star program that laid the plans as a measuring tool to help small, medium, and large counties understand what it takes to be a successful, high-functioning county party. And last, we need a 5-year action plan with long-term objectives for governance and policy priorities and expanding the Georgia GOP so that we can increase our member influence throughout the state. As you can see, there's a lot of work to be done. I'm going to need your help to do it. And when we do it, we will have built something that you can truly be proud of. I'm David Cross, and I hope to earn your vote as chairman of your Georgia Republican Party.
Trump barely beat Kamala in Georgia. That's nowhere near like winning the Super Bowl. That's like a JV team almost beating the Harlem Globetrotters. Are our GOP donations really going for Josh McCoon's campaign ad here? I believe actions speak louder than words, and so far I don't see where Josh McCoon has done anything in the state of Georgia around election integrity. Kind of been a one-man show, in my opinion. Typically when we hear unity, we hear the establishment telling us to fall in line. That's what's happening. You have a push and pull between the good old boy Georgia establishment, and then you've got the Trump agenda, which is not really being enacted. They say that they are, but they're not. I think we're lacking unity among the executive committee. We thought we were electing patriots that were going to work together, and what we've seen is them not doing that, and we need them to all be unified behind the Georgia grassroots and also, mainly around President Trump's agenda. The chairman should help facilitate that. We do need them working as a team and also allow those members to give input, which we are also lacking. We do not see where the second vice chair, et cetera, is actually involved in a lot of decision making. I believe David Cross is that candidate that can also kind of coalesce around the other EC members. In 2024 and 2025, when we had important election integrity bills being put on the floor, I didn't see Josh McCoon there, but David Cross was. He's been everywhere, and I haven't seen McCoon anywhere. David has a new initiative to have a lobby comprised of the grassroots down at the Georgia Dome to move the needle on election integrity because 2026 is coming, we're running out of time essentially. We need somebody that can also get on the ground and work, and that's what I'm looking for in a candidate. Take back all of the sheriff elections with Republicans that will ultimately uphold the Constitution. That way we can get our country back and the state of Georgia and the values that we all hold dear. We need an executive committee that we can trust, and that starts with the chair. So at the state convention in June, my vote will go for David Cross, just like the last 2 times. My vote's going for Dojum Dave.
I've known David for 4 years, and he does not lie.
He's an honest person, and he's interested in election integrity, and he's been working hard for us for election integrity.
We need a businessman, not a politician.
He will not be taking advantage and taking money from the party.
We need a team leader, not a dictator. He will have meetings with his officers often, and we can depend on him to speak for the electorate. We need open financial books. There needs to be nothing hidden. I'm really looking forward to this audit in the next 45 days. We need truth, trust, and transparency all across the executive committee. We need somebody we can trust. You can trust David Cross. I am thrilled to endorse David Cross for chair of the state board for the Republican Party.
We're lacking accountability, transparency, better communication, and engagement, and David Cross is promising to bring all of those. I'm especially focused on the accountability factor. Donate, donate, donate. We donate all this money. We have no earthly idea where the money is coming in from and how it is being doled out. As far as being informed, the only time I receive an email from whether it's the state party or the district or whatever is send us money. Well, why don't you tell us what you're doing? And that's what David is talking about. There needs to be more open communication. McCoon likes to brag about our performance at the General Assembly. In 2024, the Freedom Index rated the Republicans in the state of Georgia House at 40% out of 100 points. In 2025, this past year's performance, it's slated to go down to 30 points out of a potential 100. What is going on with our Georgia General Assembly is nothing to brag about. We need to hold these politicians accountable to the people. David is bringing accountability back. taking responsibility for that, and it's about time somebody did. Today was a classic example here at the Fayette County annual monthly meeting. The attendance here is it was just dismal compared to what it was just 3 or 4 years ago. The same thing in Coweta County. So people are not engaging. I don't know if it has to do with the cost to be involved, or it's just a lack of leadership. I know that in Coweta we've had very poor leadership, and I don't see it getting any better. So until we demand some accountability, it's not going to improve. The grassroots have got to get out and engage with people in our community. Not everybody has a free Saturday. A lot of people are working and they can't go to party meetings and functions. Have a Saturday meeting, possibly one evening a week, to give people the options of how they can get involved. If you want to join your county party, there's a fee for that, and then more if you're involving a husband and wife and your children. And then if you want to participate at the district level, that's $60 plus your travel costs and your meals and so forth and so on. And then you have your state convention. That's $175 a person. They're asking $20 for a box lunch. Give me a break. Where are people supposed to come up with this money, assuming they can find the time? I know we're going to Dalton for the state convention. That is about a $400 per person event. That is ridiculous. The way it's structured today is that it's more like an elite country club, so to speak. The average person out there, by the time they pay to maintain their homes, take care of their children, go back and forth to work, the incidentals in life, they don't have that extra money to get involved and to become engaged. And think about all the door knockers, the people that would be more than happy to make phone calls in their spare time. Those are the people that we need to engage with and get involved and reach out to. David Cross can deliver transparency and informed growth. That is something that we're sorely lacking, and David has promised to bring that, and I believe he's the man that can do it.
I've been in the GOP most of my adult life. I've been more involved in politics since the 2020 election. Well, we need strong leadership committed to electing Republicans, grow the membership, and get the members involved. We need more involvement in order to make things work from the grassroots level. And I don't think that they reach out enough to the grassroots. The growth will absolutely come from the grassroots movement. Everything starts at the grassroots movement. We need to have someone in place who is going to make that effort. David has said that he would help to grow the membership and that he would give the people a voice, give the members a voice, and help them to move the party forward. I think that transparency is definitely something that we need. We need to know what is going on in our government. We need to know how things are done, why things are done, and to hold people accountable. We have to hold the lawmakers accountable for the actions that they take. And the transparency will build more trust. I think that more can be done for election integrity. And that's one thing that David has done and he's still doing. And this is something that he has promised us that he will do. And that is to keep an eye and shine a light on election integrity. The elites. The elites are the people that don't want transparency. The good old boys. They don't want us to know what is going on. And we need somebody that's going to be able to say, nope, we have to do something about this, and I'm the guy to do it. I think David Cross is the guy to do all of the things that we've talked about. He's going to be transparent, he's going to hold people accountable, and he's going to shine a light on the things that have been kept in the dark from us. I do think that David is going to be inclusive. He said that he would engage the members, and he wants them to have a voice. Inclusivity works. I am definitely voting for David Cross at the convention because I do believe that David is the person that can lead the Georgia GOP in the right direction.
I think David has been a real breath of fresh air within the party. He brings an outside perspective. I believe David is true to those principles. I believe that he is free of a lot of the influence of existing relationships and party loyalties. And I think that that is a unique position that can help our party in the next 2 years. We need to be focused on the party and what's good for all of its members in the state of Georgia rather than anyone's political pursuits. I think there's been a real problem with transparency in the Republican Party. We need to have more transparency, not less. I think the inclusion of the grassroots is extremely important. There is unfortunately a tendency for within the party to be somewhat clubby, and I think that limits the talents that we can bring to bear on the problems that the party faces. I absolutely support David's effort to be more inclusive. I do support and think it's refreshing that David has been very, very focused on election integrity and making sure that our elections are accurate and truthful. I also believe that David, as an entrepreneur, a successful entrepreneur, brings a very important perspective to our party. We need less politicians and more business people.
David Cross is someone who has gotten things done. That's what we need more of as fighters that can fight for the people.
We've got to include people from other groups out there. We've got to think bigger. We've got to be more inclusive.
It's we the people
who want inclusion.
We need somebody we can trust.
The grassroots needs to be listened to a whole lot more.
The inclusion of the grassroots is extremely important.
Everything starts at the grassroots.
What I see is leadership that is failing our candidates, failing the grassroots, and they're shamed for supporting people like Charlize Byrd and Colton Moore, failing to deliver the victories that we need in Georgia.
David Cross has new ideas to engage the grassroots.
What I'm looking to try and do is to reinvigorate this organization, makes them want to be part of something that's bigger and better and bolder.
The way it's structured today is more like an elite country club.
The elites. The elites are the people that don't want transparency, the good old boys.
There is unfortunately a tendency within the party to be somewhat clubby.
Typically when we hear unity, we hear the establishment telling us to fall in line.
David Cross is a businessman. He's an outsider to the political establishment.
David is committed to the team.
Now, if I wanted to go to the Laura Trump event, we're going to have to come up with another $500 plus $500 so that we can have tickets to go to this event. I think that's absurd. And I think it's a little bit elitist.
They don't have that extra money to get involved.
You know, that's not accessible for a lot of people. I've got a lot of growth plans, and appreciating the grassroots, we have to have accessible events. We can have 1,000 people at them.
He wants to include us all in the fun stuff that has been reserved for just the establishment elites.
He will make sure that we, the grassroots, are heard.
We need minority outreach, and we don't need to just talk about it, we need it to happen.
David is going to be the chairman who is committed to going out and increasing the minority participation.
I am Chinese American. I strongly endorse David Cross.
I'm voting for David Cross.
I'm grassroots, and I'm for David Cross.
David Cross.
David Cross.
David Cross is our man.
I'm done with politics as usual.
I support David Cross for the very reason I am grassroots. David Cross has new ideas to engage the grassroots, and that is what we need. We need a new plan to move forward, not the status quo. My vote goes to David Cross for a new future. Is that people do not want to donate, and I'm one of those people that don't want to donate to the party because I don't believe the money's going where it needs to go. There's no transparency. I'm unsure of where my money is being spent and how much of it is going to the candidates that I support as grassroots. David Cross is going to bring change, and he's going to bring everything and all parts of our party together, from the fundraising to the treasury to the grassroots to the local districts. David Cross is for the people, all people.
Right now, I don't have enough trust in the party to support them financially. I'm very concerned about the party. I stay in the GOP because I know that's the best way for us to support President Trump and his agenda. However, what I'm seeing is that the party is getting smaller. A lot of people have left the party because they feel like they're not being heard. And that's why I support David Cross. David Cross has a new idea for the party. He wants more transparency. He wants more participation. He really wants to bring people in and make us feel that we're contributing. If that happens, we'll contribute money. I guarantee it. I will be voting for a change in what we have, and that is David Cross.
My biggie with Dave is he's really good at building teams. Teams with a forte. A team for marketing, a team for IT, a team for databases, a team for events. He's so good at that and putting really talented people from the grassroots in. This is the kind of thing that David will do. He'll put people together. He will be outside. He will wear it on his sleeve, and the grassroots will follow Dave. And it doesn't cost anything. Normally, these people just want to do what's great for our state and our country. So if we can get Dave in, we can save money, and we'll actually have a process for elections that isn't antiquated. I'm tired of antiquated. How about you, Cowboy?
Many of us got involved in politics because of the corrupt 2020 election. And David Cross was a rock star. He uncovered the stuff and documented the fraud. And I don't think we've had the last chapter of that story yet. David Cross spent a lot of hours and a lot of years working on election integrity. He documented who was involved in illuminating the corruption in Georgia, and David Cross was one of the people that he mentioned in that article. When I heard Josh talking about how he helped in the last election, it really gave me a lot to laugh about. He wasn't a coach. He wasn't even a good cheerleader. In fact, I don't believe he even gave anything to Trump's campaign. That's kind of like the Philadelphia Eagles just barely beating a JV football team. The Georgia Republican Party is not united, and the grassroots needs to be listened to a whole lot more. The delegates in the last election thought they were electing a chairman of the Georgia Party when they were actually electing a CEO of a corporation. That corporation needs to be dissolved. And David Cross is just the guy to do it. We need transparency, and with the corporation, we do not have transparency. With the real Georgia Republican Party, we will have transparency. The business aspect has done a lot for MAGA on a national basis. There's no reason why it can't help us in Georgia as well. I'm voting for David Cross, and I encourage all delegates to do the same. David Cross.
Yeah, David Cross is the man for the grassroots. The transparent part, yes. And better informed, yes. He's talking about inclusion of the little guys. He wants to include us all in the fun stuff that has been reserved for just the establishment elites that are within the party. And that's, music to my ears. It should be music to the majority of us. We want the party to listen to us. We want inclusion, making promises and then thanks, see ya. Don't look in on what we're doing, but when we send you a text or an email to donate, which comes all the time, please send us money. That's not the way we move forward here. I mean, obviously.
It's very simple. We need some trust back in the GOP.
I love the idea of doging the GOP. Inquiring minds want to know.
I just want to say I'm going to be voting for David because I feel we have too much division. We need some unity, and I think that he's going to be the person to bring us together and do the job. He's got a track record with election integrity, and I think that that's real critical with everything that's happened in the past. We do need paper ballots. Not only has he been the one to talk the talk, he's also walked the walk. I've seen him on Tucker Carlson. He's been addressing this for years now, this issue. We need to get away from these machines. We need to get back to the founding, the paper ballots, one day at the precinct level counted. It's in his heart, he's on a mission, and he's driven, and he's got a vision to correct that, and I think that that's what's driving him. I think that his heart's in the right place. He's driven by a purpose, and he wants to bring unity, he wants to bring transparency, and I think he's going to do a good job. I think we're lacking leadership, I think we're lacking unity, there's a lot of division in the party, and transparency. I think it's high time that we doge the GOP. No transparency with the Treasury is just unacceptable. Well, David has a plan to grow our party, to get the young people involved, and I can't wait to be a part of that. David's going to have a legislative lobby consisting of the grassroots GOP, and that is something new that we've never done before, and I love that idea and look forward to being a part of it. Definitely am going to be voting for David Cross. He's got my 100% support, and I'm excited about the future of our party and the leadership he's going to bring to it.
David Cross has got to be the next leader. Guys, we have a total lack of transparency in the Georgia GOP. We've got to change directions. We've got to have a new leader. David Cross is the leader for that job. David Cross is the truth teller. David is an Eagle Scout. The Eagle Scout is loyal, and he is going to be transparent with the people. David Cross is a businessman. He's an outsider to the political establishment. That is who we need as grassroots, as we the people. I'm voting for David Cross for chairman, Georgia GOP. He's the right man for the job. He's the man we can trust. He will bring transparency to the Georgia GOP.
I support David Cross for Georgia GOP chair because of his vision for the future of the Georgia Republican Party. That vision includes unplugging Georgia from electronic software election systems and growing our party and getting out the vote. I believe in David's ability to lead because he has proven himself in his diligence over the past 4 to 5 years in advocating for securing our elections and leading a team in developing a Get Out the Vote tool specifically for our state. Vote David Cross for Georgia GOP chairman. Thank you.
David Cross is someone who has gotten things done. Voting integrity, he's been there from the beginning, and he's not given up. I mean, people have gone after him over and over again, and he keeps on. He comes bouncing back and fighting more. That's what we need more of as fighters that can fight for the people. How many people get their voices heard today? It's not very many. If he gets elected in, I am reassured that people at the grassroots will be heard, their voices will be heard. David Cross has led by example. He's been in the forefront, even working with downtown under the Gold Dome, working with people to push the voting integrity bills that are out there. David Cross will deliver transparent and informed growth. He has already been transparent from the beginning. Let's put it this way, anything that the grassroots have asked of him, he has delivered to them. And I don't think he's going to stop anytime soon.
I'm pro David. He is for hand-marked paper ballots. He's not establishment. He's his own man. Being in this party right now has been like hitting against a brick wall. They do not listen to us. He will make good on his promises because we will hold him to that. David Cross is a man of his word, and he will work for the people.
Transparency, transparency, transparency. We don't have any right now in the GOP. We need transparency, and we need integrity. We have a dictator. We don't have a leader. We only won by 2% in Georgia. That is ridiculous. Josh taking credit for getting Trump elected, that's wrong. All the grassroots people in the state helped get Trump elected. And we don't need a dictator. We need to get rid of the ink. David is going to bring integrity and transparency. He will make sure
that we, the grassroots, are heard. Make sure the first, second, vice chair and down has a job description and doesn't just sit in a corner and not do anything. The 2020 election was stolen. There are people in the GOP that deny it. I don't see how you can deny it with all the proof we have. But with David doing the integrity issue, we are going to get back to paper ballots, one-day voting, and transparency in our elections. If you want integrity, transparency in the state GOP, vote for David Cross and you will get it. Out with the old, in with the new. That is David Cross.
Hi, I'm David Cross, and I'm running to become your next chairman of the Georgia Republican Party. One of President Trump's 3 mandates is to rebuild the party. He wouldn't be telling us this if he didn't see the same issues that I see with the lack of party engagement, wasteful spending, and the lack of trust. I have 5 major goals that I think we need to implement in order to restore the party, starting with making the party a voice for the people, reinvigorating member engagement and growth, using that growth to elect Republicans, but none of that happens without a plan for transparency and rebuilding the infrastructure in order to support our counties. When we talk about the party being a voice for the people, that means that leadership needs to be accessible to hear from the members. We need an online suggestion box with true two-way communication. We need face-to-face membership events where you can have direct conversations with leadership, and we need to have weekly outreach with each one of the executive team members so that you can know what's really going on inside the party. No more secrets. On membership engagement and growth, it starts with communication. We need true two-way communication with our members and our counties to make sure that we are in alignment from top to bottom. We need a bold legislative agenda that's worked on proactively throughout the year instead of throwing it out at the last minute. And that includes eliminating the Dominion voting machines and moving to paper ballots in alignment with President Trump. We keep talking about engaging young people, so I'm going to do something about it and put together a Young Republican Scholarship Program so young Republicans can attend our conventions and events. We need to fortify the Georgia GOP by bringing Black, Hispanic, Asian, young Republicans, all Republicans to the table and giving them the same tools that we give to our counties to help them grow. We can fund a lot of things with a $20 1% grassroots club. That means if we can get 1% of all Republicans statewide to donate $10 to $20 per month, totally doable, that could generate over $300,000 per month or $3.6 million annually. That's more than the GOP has ever brought in organically in a single year. But none of this is going to happen without transparency. That's why we've got to doge the Georgia GOP. We have to root out waste and maximize the efficiency of every single dollar. We need to work with an annual budget and provide quarterly financial reports to demonstrate accountability and trust to all Republicans. If we are successful, then we will be able to elect Republicans and bring back a supermajority. But it's only going to happen if we can make a clone of Trump Force 47. We're going to call it Georgia Force 26. We're going to couple that with Project Green Dot to identify independent voters that we're going to recruit to the Republican Party by sharing our vision that we believe that men are men and women are women. Our children don't belong to the state for indoctrination, and God is part of our platform. The Democrats have thrown God out the window. They've abandoned him. We will invite these people to our events and get to know them and break bread with them. To do all of this, we need to break all of the fundraising records. And that's going to happen when we demonstrate truth, trust, and transparency. We also need a constitutional sheriff's initiative because whether you know it or not, there are dozens of counties in Georgia where Donald Trump won the popular vote, but a Democratic sheriff is still in charge. We also need to engage our religious affiliations out there too. Our faithful are not voting as much as they should. We have to reach out directly to our churches. We're also going to partner with civic organizations and expanding partnerships with folks like the Kiwanis Club and the Rotary Clubs and other like-minded organizations that share our conservative values. And lastly, but certainly not at the bottom of the list, there's the corporate structure and infrastructure. We need a proper document filing under Title 21 of Georgia election law. We need a county technology toolbox so that our county chairs have the technology to help them manage their members so they can focus on what they do best, relationships. We need mentoring and tools for our county chairs so that they can do an amazing job leveraging the skills of their members to build a superior organization. We need to reignite the 5-star program that laid the plans as a measuring tool to help small, medium, and large counties understand what it takes to be a successful, high-functioning county party. And last, we need a 5-year action plan with long-term objectives for governance and policy priorities and expanding the Georgia GOP so that we can increase our member influence throughout the state. As you can see, there's a lot of work to be done. I'm going to need your help to do it. And when we do it, we will have built something that you can truly be proud of. I'm David Cross, and I hope to earn your vote as chairman of your Georgia Republican Party.
Truth, trust, and transparency. You know, we don't have any of those things right now in the party, especially under the current establishment and leadership, so we really need David Cross in there. I ran for Georgia State House District 22 in the primary last May. I got a late start, had very little help from the local party. David offered a canvassing app or a canvassing website for my candidates, not just myself, but any new grassroots candidates. So, and that was the first person in the party that actually reached out to help us. David Cross did more than anyone in the Georgia GOP to help out in my campaign. David Cross has some initiatives planned when he gets elected that I am very, very excited about. Election integrity is just paramount on the list. We're lacking unity and transparency. Well, we need the right leader to be unified in the party, and I just feel like David Cross is that person. You know, to bring election integrity and just all the other important issues to the table right now. And I just think David's the guy for the job. I'm excited to do my part to help get David elected so he can get in and we can finally see some results in the election integrity issues in Georgia. Truth, trust, and transparency. David Cross is our guy for that. That's why I'm voting for David.
I'm new to the GOP this year, just actively getting involved. I've been involved doing election integrity work since the 2020 election, and I'm now at a point where I feel I want to get more involved in my local GOP, getting patriots elected at the state level, which is a big reason why I'm here, is so that I can go to the state and vote for great patriot candidates. And David Cross would be one of those candidates that I want to vote for. The present GOP has not been fighting for election integrity. So many of the leaders of the party, as we fight down at the Capitol, we don't see their faces down there fighting beside us. And David Cross has been down at the Capitol, and he's been beside us standing up for the issues that we just don't see the others stepping up. The grassroots have been left out. The grassroots were left out in the beginning once we had all these grassroots candidates elected 2 years ago. Many of them weren't given email addresses by the GOP just immediately. The GOP leadership had left them out, not knowing where the money's going, you know, them not being open with the current Georgia GOP treasurer about some of the financial issues has made me want to get involved so that I can vote to make a change in those areas and more. David is a patriot candidate. I have worked with him since the 2020 election on various projects. He was able to get so many people involved and include so many people on different projects, from watching Dropbox videos to helping him support him down at his presentations at the state capitol. I've attended most of the Voter J press conferences, and I remember David coming and talking about the Williamson County error, which was a big focus of his. His famous finger, the video clip that has gone so viral that it even was on Tucker Carlson's program when he was talking about the election fraud in Georgia, and it's David's voice, and I've seen that video so many times. He's famous for that. David Cross is famous for that video. Through all the patriots stepping up, we have seen a change, and I know when patriots show up for the next GOP convention that our vote for David is also going to make that patriot change in Georgia. I'm new to the GOP. I'm grassroots, and I'm for David Cross.
In short, I'd vote for David Cross today. I know that he has a true grit and determination to do the job. When we were faced with our greatest adversity yet in Gordon County, especially with the Board of Elections, and we were told that even though there was in fact fraud detected in both Fulton County and DeKalb County in the 2020 presidential election, we would not be removing Dominion for the 2024 presidential election. So in lieu of this disparaging and degenerate time period, David Cross had nothing but encouraging words of advice offered. Much like my late father, he stated, "Go fight the good fight." And I did, and I always will. He never stops working on election integrity. So I rely on him as someone to even text or deliver something via Facebook, for example, to improve election integrity. And I can contact him any time of the day. He's even returned late night comments letting me know what I need to continue to do to fight the good fight here in Georgia to improve election integrity and get rid of Dominion for life. I believe David is accessible to regular folk, regular civilians in Georgia at any time. We need truth tellers, and I know that David is a truth teller. I know that David Cross would be a terrific member of the executive committee, and he does have truth and transparency 24/7 in Georgia. And I believe that his openness with the public eye, what he does for a living, and also how he makes his living, I think he has a strong will, and I know that he has determination, and I've seen him again over and over repeatedly standing once again for election integrity and the removal of the Dominion illegal third world voting machines. I know that people's behavior will change because David will hold people accountable down at the Capitol, and he will carry through with his will and determination. I believe he will sway people to remove the illegal third world voting machines called Dominion. So for true, the end of Dominion illegal voting machine, vote for David Cross today so Dominion won't stay.
I don't get a sense of coach from our current chairman, Josh McCoon. What we are lacking is leadership on a very clear and strong level. We are not a cohesive party in this state, and our focus needs to be less on one another and more on those attempting to take away our freedoms and our safety and our sovereignty. I want to see change, and I think that change can be effected with solid, strong leadership. David Cross, whom I've known for the 4 years since I've been back in Georgia, is a very solid leader. I've gone shoulder to shoulder with that guy and working on free and fair elections. I think what benefits us the most going forward is some great trust and transparency and truth around our party. And the reason why I say that is there's certain information which we in the party and the public in general do not seem to have access to. Just provide us that information. We just want to know. Across the spectrum, we need a leader with a proven track record who's shown success across the business spectrum, in his personal life, with his family. David demonstrates all of those things. I think team building is going to be considerably stronger with David. It's important at the same time that we start at the top with somebody who will speak their mind, and I've always known David to do that. Sometimes it's not what we want to hear, I want to hear, but he will say what's on his mind, and that's one of the things we need more than anything else. As hard as it is at times to confront the truth, we need that truth now more than we ever have here in the Republican Party in Georgia. David Cross is not afraid to confront that truth and deliver it.
David is an honest and humble servant, and I wholeheartedly endorse him for Georgia Republican Party State Chair. David.
I am Chinese American. I strongly endorse David Cross. I've known David for 3 years. He's always been a very strong advocate for the Asian community. David was the keynote speaker at the election information meetings for Chinese American voters for the Gwinnett Republican Party. He gave us a very informative presentation, which was well liked and received by all. I will strongly endorse Dave Cross.
2 years ago, I enthusiastically voted for Josh McCoon.
He campaigned on a vision of trust, engagement, and transparency. If he had delivered on his promises, our party would be in a much stronger position going into 2026. Instead, we have a fractured rank and file and grassroots coalitions who do not trust him. 2026 is going to be a difficult election cycle. It requires trust and transparency to fundraise. The Democrats outraise us because they have earned the trust of their voters. Without transparency and enthusiastic engagement of all stakeholders, we will lose races we should have won. President Trump is not on the ballot to drive turnout and close the enthusiasm gap. David Cross has demonstrated he is a selfless leader who will invite all Republicans to the table. Our party must be united to win 2026, which is why I am voting for David Cross and encourage you to join me.
One would be transparency, like the elephant in the room. I definitely think we're lacking trust. A lot of T's. We're lacking truth, we're lacking trust, and transparency. I definitely believe that David Cross is our man. Believes in America, he's a patriot, he is trustworthy, a man of integrity, and loves God, family, and he's a man of righteousness and justice. Isn't laid back or fearful. He's a man of courage to do what's right. David is committed to the team, and so am I. I believe David's not afraid to open anything that's dark. He's a man who will bring light to every situation. I also believe there's a lot of dirt and garbage going around Georgia, and we need to clean it up. Dojum, dojum, dojum. We need accountability for anyone who's seeking to be on the Republican ticket. We need to elect an executive committee that will stand behind David Cross. I endorse David, and I will be voting for him.
At a press conference yesterday, a consultant with voter GA called David Cross showed how we can be certain that votes in Fulton County were counted more than once.
I remember David's famous finger, and it's David's voice, and I've seen that video so many times.
We're talking about a lot of ballots, at least hundreds of ballots.
David Cross is famous for that video.
I've seen him on Tucker Carlson. He's been addressing this for years now.
I would trust human-counted hand-marked paper ballots.
Election integrity is like paramount on the list.
That's one thing that David has done and he's still doing.
David has been very, very focused on election integrity.
He's working so hard for election integrity.
To move the needle on election integrity.
He was able to get so many people involved, from watching Dropbox videos and talking about the Williamson County error to helping him support him down at his presentations at the state capitol.
I'm keenly interested in election integrity, if you don't know.
Voting integrity, he's been there from the beginning, and he's not given up.
He never stops working on election integrity. I can contact him any time of the day. He's even returned late night comments letting me know what I need to continue to do to fight the good fight here in Georgia.
He's everywhere, number one. I do not recall seeing Chairman McCoon down at the Gold Dome when there was election integrity bills being passed and discussed.
So if we can get Dave in, we'll actually have a process for elections that isn't antiquated.
Many of us got involved in politics because of the corrupt 2020 election. And David Cross was a rock star. He uncovered the stuff and documented the fraud. And I don't think we've had the last chapter of that story yet.
The 2020 election was stolen. There are people in the GOP that deny it. I don't see how you can deny it with all the proof we have. But with David doing the integrity issue, we are going to get back to paper ballots, one-day voting, and transparency in our elections.
I'm running for the chairman's position for the same reason that I ran for second vice chair, to protect the ballot and protect our elections. We didn't get any election laws passed this year because our legislative agenda was delayed for 22 days until after the session started. There were no organized citizens lobbying, and what happened? John Burns killed the bill, but we failed to deliver for President Trump this year. I will not fail him as your chairman.
David has a new initiative to have a team of grassroots lobbyists down at the Georgia Dome.
And that is something new that we've never done before.
He's so good at that and putting really talented people from the grassroots in.
I'm voting for David Cross.
David Cross is our guy.
Definitely voting for David Cross.
David Cross.
David Cross.
I really believe what he's trying to do is bring real change to the state GOP and real credibility to the state GOP. When you talk about inclusion and transparency, that is everything we do not have today. And when you find out that the treasurer doesn't have access to the checkbook, that's not inclusion, that's not transparency. The bottom line is, it's we the people that should be running the state GOP. It's not GOP Inc.
We need to shine a light on the Georgia GOP. I am looking forward to doging the Georgia GOP. We need it absolutely. We need to have a thorough investigation. Everything needs to be brought out to light. If people don't have nothing to hide, they should not be afraid of Doge. It's very important to engage grassroots. There's so many new people wanting to be involved, and we have to reach out to them. We have to know that they're welcomed in the GOP. We need to work hard to bring new people into the party. How we can make them feel welcome is by inviting them to come to our meetings, sharing with them, let them know that we all are on the same page with them. We have the same values they have. We need to work on America First values, and most people, whether they realize it or not, they have conservative values. I am very excited about what David Cross has planned for us for the GOP. I think under his leadership, we're going to have a good direction for 2026. We're going to have confidence in the GOP again, and everybody's going to have faith in the leadership again. There's other good people. We've got really good people lined up that are waiting to take our country back, take our state back. I just can't wait for David Cross to be our chair.
The truth is hard, but we have to swallow the truth. They have no ground game. They don't push or support a ground game for us to get down ballot candidates elected in Georgia. In the process of our convention, when the truth comes out, as uncomfortable as it may be, we must embrace it and fix it. My good friend David has already proven to be a leader in providing training and voter data information so we can reach out to people and get them as volunteers or voters for the candidates that we support in Georgia with the Republican Party.
David's got some great concepts to draw more young people in the party.
I'm voting for my good friend David Cross for chairman of the Georgia GOP for his proven track record.
I believe that we're lacking transparency, and I believe that there's a lot of truth that needs to be told within the GOP. We're not getting a lot of truth and transparency with our GOP at the moment. We have begged and pleaded for paper ballots for a long time, and I don't believe that the GOP, that our chair has stood up and spoke out about that enough. Every interview that I see is a play in the playbook. The players need to change. We need some new leadership. We need to turn over a new leaf. I feel like that David Cross is the most truthful candidate. I do not feel like David Cross is hiding anything. I believe he's pretty transparent. This is what we need in our party, and right now is the time to do it. No doubt in my mind that I believe that we can overcome the Trump endorsement. If you can't be transparent with your people, the grassroots people, there's a problem. We need truth, trust, and transparency through the whole slate. The whole GOP needs to be on the same page, same platform. It shouldn't be misconstrued as anything other than truth, transparency. David Cross will give us the truth and transparency that we need. David Cross has my vote in Dalton, Georgia in 2025.
I've lived all over the state of Georgia, from the south side of Columbus to the west side of Atlanta, College Park, to now the suburbs of Gwinnett. Conservative leadership is very important to this state. Therefore, I endorse David Cross to be the next chairman of the Georgia State Republican Party. David is a man of integrity. Therefore, he's going to allow whoever is elected treasurer to do their job. David also understands that Georgia is 35% black, and it's important that we expand the tent and go into all communities. David is going to be the chairman who is committed to going out and increasing the minority participation in the Georgia State Republican Party. Do the right thing and join me, and let's elect David Cross chairman.
I've been involved with the Republican Party for many, many years, and I am for David Cross because he is all for trust, truth, and transparency. I'm for David Cross because he wants to doge the GOP and get integrity back in our party. David Cross.
We need a coach on the field who hasn't been caught stealing signals. Vote for David Cross.
We've had a shrewd, polished politician for chair of the Georgia GOP for 2 years. I'm voting for David Cross. He has a well thought out plan for engaging members to make the Georgia GOP great again. You know, I hate politics, but it's necessary that I'm a malcontent activist.
I'm proud to be delegate. I will vote for David Cross. David Cross has working for election integrity very hard for 4 years. David Cross truly demonstrated the loyalty and consistency of our true patriot. David Cross donated money to support President Trump's 2024 campaign to show his support for President Trump. He also opened his rented office to Patriot and Christian prayers to use for free. His character reflects his integrity. I think he's trustworthy. He should be respected. And I will vote for him. And I hope everyone vote for him. He will be a very, very good and competent Georgia GOP chairman. The Asian GOP need a leader like David Cross. Let us support David Cross. Vote for him in the convention of Dayton. I went to state election board several times. I saw David how hard he worked. Yeah. And and I didn't see McCoon there. I'm voting for David Cross. David Cross. We need to support him 100%.